Hey, what's going on, everybody? Reporting to you from paradise again. Hopefully, this will be another quick video today. Just wanted to really get into, of course, all the drama that Trump is doing right now. But the thing I want to concentrate on today is federal employment, federal jobs. Why is Trump attacking all of these things? And let's just get into it. Um, the angle I'm going at is with black people today because the federal government for us in so many ways is, I would almost say, more important than it is to other Americans. And just rock with me for this one. Because, I mean, we all know that, schools were segregated, as recently as 50 years ago legally, and there were troops, you know, designated to be at certain schools up until the late 70s and early 80s. Troops, because of the resistance and the lack of compliance from Southern people. Um, so you know that there's, even in entities where the government has a lot of authority, there is still complete and total resistance to some of these things, and as recently as, like, 30 years ago. But I think what we don't know is, like, the thing that they were unable to regulate were private institutions, right? So all these private schools can still discriminate on a racial basis and suffer nothing, right? Because they're not really receiving certain of the federal dollars. And so the federal dollars and the receipt of that is one of the only things and mechanisms that actually protected black people. Right? Because in the private sector, you can still discriminate against whomever you want to, which is exactly why they want the government to go. Because if you, and then, like, they're even blatantly getting rid of all the protections. Like, so now there's no protections for race, for sex, for gender, for anything. Right? So the federal government can no longer be the body, the one body that protects over these things. Because the private sector, they still have a much greater leeway to be able to discriminate. And let's look into the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Because what the federal government seeks to do is they actually want to employ what we all call a meritocracy, right? All this thing about merit, 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 merit. Well, the federal government definitely does merit in a way more objective way than other organizations. Like, you're not allowed to submit your demographics. You're getting to, like, a point system. You have to have a certain education that gives you a point system. It's all like a metric that enables you to even get a certain classification of job and all that kind of stuff, to make it more like a rubric, right? So it's not like just some random stuff where someone can just go and accelerate. And that's what the government seeks to do, to make it fair and equal, right? And the reason why they did that was because, so the government previously in most private organizations openly discriminated, right? And so how will we be able to make things fair? To have something that's objective, that doesn't take race into consideration, that's a point scale based on achievements and experience level. And so, as a result of such, get this, as a result of such, black people are actually overrepresented as federal government employees. We're only 12% of the population, but we represent 18% of federal employees. Now, what does that say? Now, I'm sure some white people, that are racist and be like, oh, that's just DEI hires. No, but no, the government actually has metrics that they actually use as a meritocracy, right? Because what happens outside of that is that you get bullshit meritocracy. Like, right, we can have the old Secretary of Defense, who is like one of the most accomplished people on the face of the planet, like West Point graduates, led so many platoons, super experienced, everything. And then you have Pete Hegseth, who was just a low-level commander and was a Fox News host. But one was based on merit and one was a DEI hire, right? You can even look at the vice presidents between J.D. Vance and Kamala Harris. J.D. Vance's first political job was being a senator for 2 years. And he was basically just bankrolled by a wealthy tech start guy. He has no other real experience or no other any practical application of anything, but he's the vice president, right? But you're marking him against Kamala, who was like the district attorney, like, the prosecutor, a state senator, all these things, like, kind of going up in a linear path of her actually having those credentials. So that's what we talk about when we're saying, like, oh, it's based on merit. No, it's not. No, it's not. And you can tell it by all the cabinet picks that he's picking right now and stack them. Look at their resume standing next to the resumes of the people that he's firing. We all know 100% that it's not about merit. We know it. It's just BS to be able to enable white supremacy because somehow diversity, equity, inclusion is evil now. And again, I think we just need to say those words out loud as opposed to just allowing them to say DEI. Say you're against diversity, say you're against equity, and say you're against the inclusion of all people. Like, get it out there. Because when you say that, it's fucking ridiculous. But I just want to get you on to exactly why they're attacking the government. Because the government is really the only entity that people that aren't white men that had as a protection, which is why they're trying to dismantle it, because they use the government as a weapon for overwhelming of the history that they have here, right? But now, when that weapon is being used against them, now they want to destroy it. Don't you? Isn't that something that's like common? It was Blue Lives Matter until the Blue Lives, you know what I'm saying, were going against them. It's about the Constitution until they want to get rid of the amendments that they don't like. It's about, Christianity until, oops, you have to love people. You know what I'm saying? It's never about the moral platitude that they say. It's never about anything good. It's all about just getting what they want, achieving their ends, and trying to not be at fault for it and somehow, and just not even being real and saying like, yo, we're just trying to take all the shit. They're trying to be greedy and act like they're victims at the same time. And we know it. So we know what this attack is about. And if it really was about merit, you see who's been overperforming when you actually give people opportunities just based on statistics. So until next time.